Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahilladzi hadana li hadza wa ma kunna linahtadiya laula an hadanallah. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa la syarikalah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu la nabiyya ba'da. Allahumma shalli wa sallim ala hadzal nabiyil karim wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain amma ba'd. On these occasions, I will present my paper entitled Knowledge of Ladunni in the Story of Moses and Khidhir in the Review of Isyari Shufi's Interpretation. Isyari interpretation is one of the interpretation of the Quran which discusses with the approach of Sufism. Of course, in the world of Sufism, we know the term knowledge of Ladunni. And the term knowledge of Ladunni is taken from the Quran, letter Al-Kahfi, verse 60 until 82, especially in verse 65. This Al-Kahfi letter contains the command to Prophet Moses to seek the knowledge of Ladunni to Khidhir, a pious servant. It happened after the Prophet Moses was asked by one of the children of Israel, who was the smartest person in the world. Then Moses replied that I was the smartest person in the world. And in fact, according to Allah, there is a servant of Allah who is smarter than Moses. He lives at the meeting of two seas. So Musa, accompanied by his student named Yusa bin Nun, went sailing to meet him and learn from him. And when Musa met the pious servant named Khidhir, it was agreed that Musa could learn from him, but was not allowed to ask questions about it before it was explained. What is the meaning of knowledge of Ladunni? What is meant by knowledge of Ladunni by the expert of Isyari interpretation? The scholars of the Isyari tafsir defines Ladunni knowledge not much different from the definition given by the expert of Sufism, namely the knowledge that Allah gives to the heart of his servants, which he wants without going through the process of learning from anyone. As for Khidhir, in the letter Al-Kahfi, it presents Ladunni knowledge, while Musa represents the sign of Sharia. Therefore, what was done by Khidhir based on his Ladunnian knowledge was difficult for the Prophet Musa to understand and to deny. So that many people think that the knowledge of Ladunni and Sharia is contradictory, as it is understood outwardly by some Sufism experts. They understood this from the story of the Prophet Musa and Khidhir. But in fact, when the causes and reasons are known, there is basically no conflict between Ladunni science or knowledge of Ladunni and Sharia science. This happened in three accidents where Khidhir perforated the ship. They were on the free. They were on for free. Then the accident of killing a child who was innocent according to the view of the Prophet Musa Sharia. And the accident and the incident of refiring the wall that was collapsed by Khidhir. All these actions were denied by the Prophet Musa, because according to the Sharia of Prophet Musa, everything was contradictory. But Khidhir asked the Prophet Musa to be patient, waiting for explanation from him. But it turned out that the Prophet Musa could not be patient, so that he finally had to part with Khidhir. At the time of the separation, Khidhir explained the reason why he did all that. The first is why he perverted the sheep. The answer is because he knew from Allah that no one knows that behind them was unjust king was gathering a fleet, and he needed many ships, and he will seize any ships he meets at sea. Khidir with another with an order from Allah. Khidir with an order from Allah made a hole in the ship so that it will not be stolen. And it turns out that what Khidir did to make a hole in the ship caused their ship to be cancelled by the troops of the wrongdoing king. And what Khidir was actually doing was going through and looking for the legs of the two losers. And the second, the murder of orphans occurred because Khidir had been told by Allah that the child, if he grew older, endangered the fate of his parents. Where the child will arbitrarily force his parents to apostasy and disbelief in Allah. So on the basis of Allah's order, the child killed to save the fate of his parents and also prevent the child from getting more and more sinful, especially when he does before adulthood. As for the third, namely refiring the early collapsed wall in the village where the residents are stingly and do not want to respect guests, what he actually did was save the property inherited by his pious father and who put the inheritance under the wall. And if the wall is allowed to collapse, then of course the property will be taken by the miserly resident. And Allah wants their children to grow up and be able to take the inheritance from their father themselves. So that is the knowledge of Khidir Laduni, namely knowledge that is only given to Khidir and is not given to anyone among humans, because Allah chosen him to carry out a rescue mission to three groups of humans. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.